How's it going, guys? I'm Jeremy, and today I'll tell you about a little European town called Bailu, or White Deer, in China. So this town is kind of has a European theme, and the reason why is because French missionaries came here about 150 years ago and set up like a seminary and one or two churches. So actually since then, like in the last, let's say 50 years or so, I think it was mostly just like a coal town. And the French people and the Catholics and stuff probably all left a long time ago, like maybe during the communist takeover in China, I assume. So anyway, they had a big earthquake in Sichuan, as some of you might know, in 2008. At that time, about 80,000 people died, and it was like one of the most devastating earthquakes, probably not just in China, but in the world. And so they decided they were going to rebuild the town and make a European theme to make it draw more tourists. And so at that time, the seminary was destroyed and the church, which it was already quite destroyed from like mudslides and things anyway, like probably 50 years ago or something like that. And so they ended up rebuilding that and making this whole town into a European town, which I think even for Chinese, it's kind of a little cheesy maybe. I don't think like a lot of people are like super into like going there because it's in the summer, there's like a lot of tourists and it's kind of fake looking a little bit. I first went out there on a motorcycle a few years ago and it looked a little bit more run down, but I guess in the last year they painted it and made it look a little nicer. And I guess the town now is, of course they wouldn't promote like Catholicism or religion or anything. It's I guess mostly going to be about promoting like concerts and things. They have this big stage there. And of course, because of COVID, they haven't been able to use that much, but that's basically what they're trying to do these days. So I went out here, a few years ago, I guess my first year in Chengdu, about 6-7 years ago. It was one of the first places I went. And by the way, if you are out that way, I mean, that is really good motorcycle riding. Like just the roads are perfect where you could go at, a high speed and still see everything ahead of you. And it's up, down, left, right, like really good roads that are fun. I think most of those were a little south of Bailu that I like the most, but you can go all around, up north or east and west. There's like several different roads. So if you are on a motorcycle, I definitely check out those areas. So there's a few sites in town or a few kilometers away that you can check out. One of the things is the elementary school, which actually wasn't destroyed in the earthquake. And the interesting story about this is that when the earthquake hit, the fault line went in between the two buildings, so right in the middle. So the one building raised up about 3 meters, which is about 9 feet. And so they actually were intact, where almost all the other buildings in those areas and all those towns up and down that fault line were destroyed. So super, super lucky there. Of course, the seminary and the church and most of the other buildings in that town were destroyed. So that was a super lucky elementary school. The other site you could check out is the seminary, which is about 3 or 4 kilometers north of town. And that's got great views and stuff. They totally rebuilt that because that was almost completely destroyed. And that's a nice spot to check out. You've also got a church right when you come into town. I think that was completely rebuilt. I don't know if that was the original site. I don't think so. But, most of these things are just used for like wedding photos and stuff. People actually aren't really practicing much Christianity or something like that. Or at least I don't think so. I did see online there was maybe there was like 500 people that still do practice. So I guess there's a little bit of an influence still from that time. So the first time I brought a group out here was just about 5-6 months ago. I went out with a few people and we found this nice hotel where you could do a barbecue right at the hotel, and they've got a pool in the back and a hot pool basically. It's kind of got like a Japanese style to it or something, and it's pretty cool. It's a couple kilometers south of town, but that's not a bad spot to stay, especially if you want to get away from like the crowded areas. And so there actually is one French guy that does do business there and lives there. So he's been out there, I guess, a couple years. Of course, there's no relation to the history like 100 years ago or something like that. He just happened to start doing business there. I had seen him a few years ago, actually, in Luodai, ancient town, which is a town east of Chengdu. And I remember, because of course there's no foreigners in that little city either, and there's just one French guy that was making French food, and I was like, oh, that's random. And then when I went to Bailu, this French guy's there, so I thought that was kind of funny. And so he's got good food and KTV and stuff, and that's a cool place to hang out right when you come into town on the right. And so if you're interested in some Western food, he's got some good stuff there. And I actually bought some sausages to bring back. He's got some good sausages he makes. And so there's a couple other cool things around to see. You can, of course, there's a few hiking trails. Like I just kept going past town north, and you could drive up. I guess it's called like a white tea plantation or something like that. And you've got some nice hiking trails back around there above town. And then you can also go east of town. There's a couple caves. One of them's a little more touristy, and it's got like all the lights and stuff. But it was okay. You could walk through there, and it comes to a big opening. And then there's another cave nearby, and that takes about 25 minutes to get to. It must be at least a kilometer away or more. And a little bit muddy and a little bit of an up and down and stuff. And then you could go in there, and I think you could hike to the end of that cave for about 40 minutes or something like that. We only went inside like 10 minutes because we didn't have time to keep going. And there wasn't anything like real special to see. But yeah, if you're into caving, that could be a good spot. I know there's also some climbing on the other side, just kind of near that spot. I think the next road north, there's a bigger road. And there you've got a lot of people doing climbing and stuff just east of town. So if you're into rock climbing, that could be a cool thing to do. And I think there might even be some rafting around there. Or you could just take an inner tube or something, or just go a little bit, maybe north of town would be better, and a little cleaner and less people, and you can find some cool spots. Same thing with the hotels and stuff. If you don't want to stay right in town, go a little bit north of town, like if you want to camp or get a hotel that's a little bit more chill. There's a few options there that would be pretty nice. I'm not sure why they named it White Deer. I looked online, I saw that it was like a famous place, White Deer, like in Beijing, where like the royalty had like some white deers they were breeding or something like that. Maybe another place in China. So I'm guessing maybe they renamed the town for like tourism purposes. Kind of like if you go to Shangri-La in China, that town was actually like Zhongnian, like middle of nowhere, and they changed the name to Shangri-La to promote tourism in that area. Yeah, so if you're around that area, definitely check out Bailu. Sure, it's a little touristy and maybe a little cheesy for some people, but that's probably one of the best spots within 100 kilometers of Chengdu. It takes less than 2 hours to get to. I like that area. And also the other area just west of there, there's another road that goes up towards Longmen, and it ends in like Yingchangguo, which Yingchangguo and Yinghuashan used to be a really popular, beautiful place that a lot of people from Chengdu and other places went to, but got destroyed in the 2008 earthquake. I've actually gone in there a couple times anyway, and it is super, super nice. Unfortunately, it's closed. I'll make another video about that, because that's a pretty cool spot. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're around Chengdu and you want to see a cool little European town and get some fresh air and do some hiking or caving or climbing or hang out in the water, it's a great spot to be. So take care, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.